So 82 acres is a lot.
It is quite a lot. It is quite a lot. Right now, we're only really covering 40 of it. But the shoreline itself is about a quarter of the size that it is today. Unfortunately, that is just due to erosion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, actually, this is a good day. There's actually quite a bit of sand today.
Oh, this is nice. This is so beautiful. Oh my God, what a nice day.
The beach decided to show itself to you today.
You know what's so funny? Like I saw I'm really happy about the ads and the different things y'all been doing on Facebook. They've been really enticing. You know what I'm saying? And I think people should really come out here more. They should definitely come out here more. They should definitely donate, support it and whatever y'all have going on.
Yeah, we for us the slower days are the ones in the week, but on the weekend we do get a good chunk of people, especially in the summer. This place is packed in the summertime. But once kids start going back to school, things are a little bit different.
Okay.
But during the week, it's pretty much, you come here and it's your own paradise.
Wow.
The wooden structures that you see here on the shoreline are actually replicas of what used to be here in the 40s and 50s. These are called groins. These are basically a low-tech version of erosion control. So you can see how one level of the sand is higher than the other. It shows that the sand collects in one side, spills over, and goes into the next one, into the next one, into the next one. And that is kind of the way sand is being preserved on the beach.
So they knew about this. They had this technology. I mean, I have pictures of this with my family on these things.
Cool.
But they knew about this. I mean, I obviously knew about it, but they knew about this technology back in that day.
Yes.
Okay.
So these are replicas. They're not the original ones, but there were some that were much larger and much longer than there was. The reason we have to implement these things is because there's a large offshore current that goes north to south that just constantly takes sand away. We are a constantly eroding beach.
Are y'all going to add sand?
Right now, we're not at a point of renourishment. Maybe at some point, but we really like to keep the beach as natural and as pristine as possible.
So compared to Miami Beach, Miami Beach is more at a period of renourishment.
Yes, they renourish pretty much all the time, and they typically get their sand from different quarries in Central Florida.
So it's not natural at all.
It's not really that natural much anymore.
Okay.
They've definitely added it, and they regularly renourish it. For us, we just like to keep it as natural as possible. Other than these forms of groins, the other thing that for us really helps with the preservation of the shoreline is coastal dunes. So all of these grasses, even though they're not the prettiest thing in the world, they're actually nature's way of erosion control and actually keeping shorelines on the eastern seaboard. You won't see a lot of this in the Caribbean. You won't see a lot of this on the West Coast, but in the east, dunes like this are a very common thing.
Okay.
Historically, they never were really here on the beach, but I will tell you, a combination of these coastal dunes that were planted, I believe, in 2009, and these groins are the reason that we're standing in beach and not swimming in the water.
Okay.
Virginia Key Beach is a sea turtle nesting beach. We actually have loggerhead sea turtles that come and nest between the months of May and October.
Yeah.
This year, this and the park next door, we had over 100 nests this year, which is a record. Last year was around 70. So getting another 30 nests is really quite something. It's quite impressive. So so for us, nature is the other really the other factor at this park. I've talked a lot about kind of the civic activism, and this really is a civic activism success story. This was never a place of protest. This was the reward that the community got for fighting an injustice and fighting for what's right, just to have a place to recreate. It's kind of mind-boggling that you have to fight so much just so you can have a beach.
Exactly. So now from the ecological preservation to the historical preservation, let's talk about the practical things. So I heard at different interviews that when they would travel to here back in the day, it was rough to travel from the mainland to here. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so like I said, the park was founded on August 1st, 1945, but the Rickenbacker Causeway, which at the time was not a large, beautiful bridge, it was a drawbridge at that time, was actually founded in 1947.
Okay.
So for the first 2 years, the community actually established a community fishing charter system where they would get boats from the Miami River. They would hop on them, basically fishermen that have come from the morning catch. They would take folks on boats and they would bring them here. If you missed the last boat, your beach trip just became a camping trip.
Whoa.
Back in the day, that they had some pretty wild times. They would have basically from 5 in the morning until 12 o'clock at night. You could be here at the park. So this place was definitely a party, and we've had a lot of notable folks come to this beach as well. Like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spent a lot of time on this beach, as well as Muhammad Ali, who loved Miami, and of course Malcolm X as well has spent time on this beach. But yeah, so folks, you either had to kind of canoe or kayak yourself, or you had to take one of these fishing charters that would bring you here. The pier actually used to be on the southern end, close to where that bridge is right now, the Bearcut Bridge.
So what was the route they took? They took the route from...
So they would go from the Miami River, which is kind of
back that way, okay.
And then they would either come through the channel here, and go all the way down south, or they would kind of go around the backside of that. There wasn't really much of a route. It was just kind of wherever the fishermen took you.
I heard it was kind of dangerous too.
Yes, it was a little bit dangerous. Again, we have some pretty strong offshore currents here. There was also a lot of dredging and a lot of construction work because they were really upgrading the port of Miami at the time. Of course, hurricanes and all kinds of stuff like that. So it was definitely not the most convenient way. So when the causeway was built, that was definitely something that made things much easier.
Okay.
Much easier. This place, as peaceful and serene and quiet as it is, this place is also... No, it's a good one, I promise. It's a good one. This place is really just a peaceful haven, not just for us, but also for the wildlife that is here. Like I've mentioned, we have sea turtle nesting. We also have a bunch of endangered birds and endangered animals.
Do you have any here we can see, or any animals we can see? I saw the fish tank inside the office. Like anything we can look at?
We do not have any aquariums or anything like that. This is just kind of
all natural.
If you see it, you see it. Usually in the afternoons, you kind of will see a lot of brown pelicans, which are on the endangered species list, which have come back in quite a fashion. A lot of egrets and great blue herons and ospreys. Once in a while, you do see a bald eagle, and once in a very blue moon, you do see a roseate spoonbill. If you going into the, well, not diving, it's a little shallow, but going into the water, you will find things like stingrays. You will find things like shrimp, as well as snails. We found a couple conch that have made their way here. Needlefish, young yellow snapper, particularly more in our northern part of the park. And actually, once in a while, you do see a manatee snout here and there. That manatee like to feed in our seagrass. We actually have state-protected seagrass right off of the shoreline. An interesting fun fact with that is in the 1950s, seagrass, when you swim in the water, seagrass is kind of gross, it's kind of gross feeling on your feet.
Yeah.
Well, they took away a lot of the seagrass in Miami Beach and in those other areas because it was gross, but because this was the beach for Miami's communities of color, they didn't take it.
But it helped it.
In the end, it was actually a really good thing because we have some of the healthiest water in this area. We hear about fish kills and we hear about all this other stuff, but here we don't really get affected by that because we have really high oxygenation levels.
So now you talk about preservation of the am I saying this right? Ecosystem, right? Now, what can you all do when the summer does happen, when summer comes, or when it does get crowded? How do you? I guess it kind of takes care of itself. Like you don't get the crowds that Miami Beach does. Like how do you protect and how do you keep things like they are? As far as what's in the water, the control of the population of the species, the grass in the water, the plants out here. How do you keep all this intact where it doesn't go off scale to ruin the dimensions that you have here to keep everything in balance?
So it isn't Miami Beach size crowds, but in terms of it, a lot of it really is just. it's not just the staff that come here and pick up the garbage and things like that. It's not just that, but also some people on their own are growing more and more conscious. We also, in the summer, is really our hot season for things like beach cleanups. We've actually had just individuals all the way up to just local organizations that have come and brought 50 people to come clean the beach. Or September, we always participate in the International Coastal Cleanup, which brings 150 people to the park to come clean the shoreline. Also, what we do is we do regular exotic plant removal, which damages the native plants. We also do regularly plant natives as well, just to kind of preserve the shoreline. We haven't had the population where the footprint literally has made that impact yet. Hopefully not, but hopefully kind of, because we get more business that way. It's a balance for sure. But we just do our best to take care of the place and make it look as pristine as possible. And we do get also a bunch of large events that come here where they bring thousands of people.
That's like one day thing. It's not gonna be like
Sometimes it's 3 days.
Okay.
Sometimes there's 3-day concerts and festivals. But the park's approach is definitely, you have to be sustainable. We're actually, since a few years ago, we had Ultra Music Festival, and they were basically carbon neutral. They actually took care of the park and they left it as, and I will tell you, they left it as good.
So Ultra was here.
A piece of it, yes. The main part of it was at Marine Stadium, and then we had the more underground type of
Underground
type of EDM.
Okay.
And yeah, you would have 16,000 people at the park for this festival.
This, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, for 3 days, I mean, it sounds, but it's really not, because it has to be consistent like every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah, to damage, I think, right?
Yes, it would have to be something that's every single day.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice that in the week we kind of have a break from the weekend.
Exactly.
It actually gives the time for the staff to do a lot of improvement projects. We're pretty much all customer service on the weekends, of course. But when there's not a lot of people here, it gives us the time to improve the park, make some changes, try to not have the rundown look, things like that.